Coming up on the Code Bet Daily NRL show, I reckon I could get a game for a couple of teams this week. That is how pathetic some of these games are. It's not a worry about integrity whatsoever, is it, Phil?
Yeah, exactly. The NRL season is just long enough. Look, we'll do our best. At the end of the day, these games are still worth 2 NRL competition points, and there are still betting markets to take advantage of. So tune in.
There is a lot coming your way, and Phil's actually nicking off to Spain next week, so this is the last time we may see him. So please enjoy this one. It's the Code Bet Daily NRL show, and it's coming your way right now. Welcome to the Code Bet Daily NRL show for round 27 of the National Rugby League. Oh boy, it's been a long season. Dead rubbers, but some very exciting games this weekend. I'm your host, Alex Donnelly. I am joined by the man who will be sunning himself in Spain this time next week, Phil Pryor. How the hell have you managed to get away to Spain during football finals?
Well, mate, the regular season's finished. There's only several games next week, even less the week after. So this is actually the perfect time of year to be embarking on Spain. Forget about June, forget about July, even August. There's too much going on, but things are the load has been lightened already, my friend.
Half your luck. I tried to sneak in some annual leave for March and got absolutely slapped down. It's too close to footy season, so I'm off in February next year. But as said, we are here for round 27 of the NRL. Of course, you can get all of Phil's written previews at codebet.com.au. Head to the website, check everything out there. And of course, everything that I've been doing this week, which really hasn't been much with no AFL on. But anyway, let's start off tonight. Pretty big game to kick off the round. The Brisbane Broncos, $1.63. The Melbourne Storm, $2.50. The line is -4, plus 4.5 for the Storm. The over-under is 43.5. Now, I went back through the records here, and the Brisbane Broncos in something like 8 or 9 years have not beaten the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne, and both teams have basically picked the under-15 squad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm basically getting Origin period post PTSD heading into this round because some of the lineups that have been named are just an absolute disgrace. That's what happens if the NRL wants to try and squeeze as much money out of these players as humanely possible. Just make it a 27 round competition. Because the teams. 24 or 23 rounds, that's not enough for these sides to figure out who are the good ones and who aren't the good ones. So let's just make it 33 rounds and see what happens.
And then let's also wait till round 26 for a team to take on each other for the first time this season, as well as the Roosters did last week with I think it was the Tigers.
That's true.
Honestly.
That's true, yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Half of these games are just utterly meaningless. But hey, here we are. Apparently it's NRL, even though I look at this team and, as you say, it's basically 2 under-15s teams going at it. And that is a pretty similar case for a lot of the other games that we're going to have to go through. And I say have to because we're obligated through our employment to do so, even though the interest probably just isn't quite there. A combined 21 top 17 players across both teams in this Thursday night game have been left out. How the hell do you navigate your way through this one? I'm not entirely sure. We will do our best because we are obligated to do so, as mentioned. And look, I suppose the other humour here is that the Broncos can literally win a minor premiership, but they don't care.
But they don't care.
It means
it's wild.
It means absolutely nothing. Look, both of these sides, basically the only first graders they have named are the ones that haven't been fit and available most of the season.
Yep.
Jordan Ricky, Corey Oates, Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm, that kind of thing. So I suppose
he needs a run.
A good opportunity for them, exactly, to get another run under their legs. Pappy will be starting at fullback in this one, which obviously is interesting. If he goes well, he's not going to lose that job. I don't know what that means for Nick Meaney. They'll slip Meaney in somewhere, who's been admirable, obviously. Yep. But Corey Oates, he's one of the Broncos guns that's playing as mentioned, and he's scored at least one in 3 of his last 4 against the Storm. I don't mind him as an anytime try scoring option at $1.91 on Bet365. Tristan Saylor, he's the other player I like here at $2.90. He's come a long way just as a footballer, and when he has had limited opportunities, be that in the preseason, I think once or twice during this season as well, he's looked serviceable. So I think there's a bit of value there. I like Pappenhausen as an anytime try scorer as well, because it wasn't just last week where he was able to get it, his legs a little bit further back underneath him. He's been playing in the Queensland Cup the last few weeks as well. So I think there's enough fitness for him to get through a decent chunk of this game. And when you slot Ryan Pappenhausen in a game which is, for the most part filled by Queensland Cup players, he's going to stand out. He's going to show his class. So at $2.45 on Bet365, there's absolutely some value there. It's hard to go past Will Warbrick as a first try scorer bet or an anytime try scorer bet as well at $2.45 anytime. For first try scorer though, $12. He wasn't fortunate enough to be given the week off. Which is a statement. That's, how's Will feeling that Craig Bellamy doesn't value his contribution enough to give him the said week off? But yeah, the right winger has scored the first try in Melbourne's last two games, so he'll be in the mix once again there. I'm tipping the Storm at $2.38 straight out. Yep. Forget about covering, just straight up. Pappenhausen's the best player on the field. The Broncos have named an absolute mug team, and I think the Storm should not be this far outside.
I like it. I'm actually in agreement with you too. They've got a ridiculously awesome record, not just at Suncorp, but against the Broncos in the past decade. So I'm with you there. Let's move on to, one of the games not a lot of people will watch, but there is a bit of intrigue as far as betting is concerned, as the Manly Sea Eagles host the West Tigers. Both their seasons end. They're going to get on the beers from about 8:30 Friday night to whenever the hell they want to stop. The Sea Eagles are $1.24, minus 12.5. West Tigers, #nice, $4.20. Plus 13.5. The over-under is 47.5. The West Tigers stink. Manly are going to put up a cricket score here, I feel.
Yeah, look, Manly made me look kind of stupid last week. I thought losing Ruben Garrick was probably just one too many key players and that the Bulldogs might actually be able to cover in that game last week. Not making that same mistake again a week later. Back home, of course, at Four Pines Park. So, I think they'll be far too strong for the Tigers. Daly Cherry Evans, man, he just keeps on keeping on. He's an unbelievable player. I actually don't mind him as an anytime try scoring option in this game. He's still got that pace and quality to sort of, score those runaway tries or come inside as a support player. Just checking what the latest value is for him to actually cross for one, sort of looking around that $3.40 range. So I like that. I like Tolu Kula to score again. He looks decent at fullback, $2.35 via Ladbrokes. He looked comfortable in that role as the replacement of Tom Trebojevich's replacement, Pete Garrett. So, yeah, look, I think you're right. I like the Seagulls in this one. The line is set at 12.5 points, so it's Seagulls 13 plus margin. $1.91 is on Bet365.
Yeah,
I like the over as well, actually, 47.5.
Okay.
$1.91. Which of these teams is really going to care about defense?
No, it's that let's just get through a game and not get injured, and we can enjoy whatever the off-season has to bring for us. But let's move to what I believe is the most integral game of the weekend, and I actually can't believe the odds on this. South Sydney Rabbitohs, who have gone through more turmoil than Logan Paul's girlfriend in the past week, at $1.68, take on the Sydney Roosters at $2.25. The line is minus 2.5. Roosters are plus 3.5. Over under is 43.5. The Roosters are just winning and winning and winning. And South Sydney, no Latrell Mitchell, people walking out, club greats going, oh, well, this guy sucks, that guy sucks. How in the hell are they $1.68? I think the Roosters are dead set certainties.
Well, that's interesting because this morning, even this morning, those odds were $1.84, 202. So I think the Joey Manu news has done big things to the betting markets, which is interesting. But look, I'm with you, and I need you to give me the update on Logan Paul's girlfriend, because I'm completely out of the loop on all of that.
I was given the update earlier by one of our video producers, Homie, that apparently Logan Paul's fighting a guy in a boxing pay-per-view next month, and his way of promoting the fight is talking rubbish about his girlfriend. So it's basically trying to get into Logan's head through that. So search up, I think it's Dylan Dennis on Twitter, and you'll find out what we mean. It's not ideal.
Okay, interesting. Look, somehow the bookies still have enough confidence in this Rabbitohs rabble. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. They've made that mistake twice in the last 3 weeks. They were good favourites to beat Newcastle in Newcastle. Didn't happen. They were good favourites to beat Cronulla in Perth. That didn't happen. The only win they've had in the last month was against the Dragons, I believe. So Souths have done nothing to instill any kind of confidence and belief in me. I don't know how the bookies are falling for this one yet again, coming off a week of complete and utter turmoil, as you've mentioned. No Latrell Mitchell after his brain explosion against the Knights. It just doesn't make sense.
He's had a horror.
The only anytime try scorer I'm even remotely interested in is Cody Walker, who's been in good try scoring form at a core stadium. He's scored in each of the Rabbitohs' last 4 games at a core. That said, he doesn't have Latrell on his outside, posing that threat, which is going to open up that hole for him to run through a little bit more. So I'm on the Chooks. I think this game hits the unders, because I don't think the Rabbitohs have got a stack of points in them. The Roosters have only had points in them once or twice this season. They get Tedesco back, the Roosters. Joseph Suaalii looks really good. I was at that game last week. He looked really good when he was moved back to fullback for Joey Manu. I'm not surprised the Roosters have kept Manu out if he had a hamstring complaint. Literally, off the back of a 6-day turnaround. But I still think the Roosters have enough quality without JWH as well to get this one done. They've won 4 straight games now, and they're just a team in far better form than the Rabbitohs. None of it makes sense to me. So I would tip the Roosters outright. The fact that you can take a 1.5 head start for $1.91 on Bet365 is also pretty good to me.
Yeah, and what we forgot to mention is, of course, this match is, if you haven't been paying attention, this is 8th versus 10th, with the Rabbitohs in 8th and the Roosters 10th. Both teams equal on 30 points, and pretty much the loser isn't going to play finals. The winner isn't guaranteed either, as we'll get onto later, but win and you're giving yourself a massive chance, and let's be honest, you're probably more than likely going to play finals. So a lot to play out there.
It's the line's 3.5 now, so that has adjusted again since those odds changed as well. So the Roosters get 3.5 point start with Ladbrokes at $1.90.
Okay. All right, we move on to Saturday afternoon at Suncorp Stadium, where the Dolphins are $1.58, finishing off their first season against the New Zealand Warriors, who are finals bound, nestled there into the top 4 at the moment. They're $2.40, plus 4.5, over under 49.5. I can't believe the odds here. The Dolphins, they're crying out for the end of the season. It's just, why are the Warriors 240? I know obviously there is absolutely really nothing to play for them, because they're going to finish 3rd or 4th regardless. So I guess everyone's like, oh yeah, the Dolphins finish off the season on a high, but I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Obviously the Warriors have got a few out. A front rower, a fullback, a winger, both halves. I mean, look.
Well, I wasn't going to run through the outs of every team, because we'll be here till next Thursday.
That is true. But I still look at this Warriors team and I see talent. I see reliable players, and they've got an incredibly deep amount of forwards that they can turn to, which we're seeing in the makeup of particularly their back row. But their starting pack is decent on paper. I'd still take their starting pack over the Dolphins right now, to be honest, who again are thinking about their postseason celebrations. So I'm with you. The Warriors, they look, if they want to produce like a pretty genuine postseason charge, they're probably going to have to go through Suncorp Stadium as well. So they'll be keen to put their best foot forward this week in that sense, given that that's where the game is. And I rate Andrew Webster as a coach. I think it's pretty clear for everyone to see that he was the better Penrith assistant all along, despite all this hoo-ha around Cameron Ciraldo. Yeah. So I think Webster gets his team to lift. These players could be playing for a finals bench spot. So I think the group as a whole lifts and puts a sword to a very average Dolphins team. So I'm taking the Warriors outright at $2.40 Ladbrokes.
I like it. Very aggressive. Let's move on to Saturday, 5:30 afternoon at Bluebet Stadium. Now, the Penrith Panthers are currently $1.32, taking on the North Queensland Cowboys, who need to win to play finals, at $3.50. The line is -8.5, over under 41.5, and you can get +9.5 for the Cowboys. Now, at this stage, you look at Penrith's 22. It isn't, the Penrith Pencils. It is the Penrith Panthers. They have named a very strong team. So it looks like they want to go into the finals winning, not having lost 2 games in a row. I don't think that they care about the minor premiership per se, but after last week's loss, I don't think they want to bounce into the finals with 2 losses. Am I wrong there, Phil?
Yeah, no, and look, they did some of their resting last week as well. Dylan Edwards, Isaac Tungor, Matt Eisenhuth, Sunia Taruva, Scott Sorensen, they all come back into the team. Obviously, they lose Jerome Luai, who popped his shoulder out, but
didn't look great.
Yeah, so I don't mind the tactic of Cleary here. They're going to have themselves a tough day at the office against this, big mobile Cowboys forward pack, a desperate Cowboys team that need to win to give themselves a chance to play finals. But I suppose part of the sort of mental gymnastics for Ivan Cleary here as well. You guys are getting a week off in 2 weeks' time when you win your qualifying final. So I don't mind the logic. It's a disaster if they don't win next week, but I can understand what he's trying to achieve there. I don't mind the tactic. And this Cowboys team, they had their moment in the sun where we thought everything was coming good, and that has not been the case since then. I think this Panthers team is just superior. The quality is there. I think they'll be too good. I think they'll win. I'm not totally convinced that they'll cover, because I think this one should be reasonably tight. Like it's a desperate North Queensland Cowboys team. But yeah, I think the Panthers get home, and I like the over. I think it's a really low over under, so I'm jumping on the over at 41.5.
Okay. St George Illawarra in their final game of once again a pathetic season. $2.05 taking on the Newcastle Knights at $1.82. Line is 1.5. This is at Jubilee Stadium. The over-under, as my screen decided to go blank, there it is back again. You can get 46.5 for the over. The under is 45.5. Of course, the Knights this week are without Kalen Ponga, who hurt his shoulder last week. And notably, Tyson Frizzell and Dane Gagai are not playing. So you'd think St George are a chance, but let's be honest, they have nothing to play for. And the Knights, they're nestled beautifully into the top half. And they do need to win this to guarantee a home final in the first week. So they will be trying.
I thought they'd already guaranteed, actually.
They're on 33 points with the Sharks and Raiders on 32. Actually, yeah, that's right. I got that one wrong because they're playing each other later. That's my bad.
Yeah, exactly. So the Knights have named a couple out, but as you said, but it's still a reasonably full-strength team, and it's still enough of a full-strength team that the Knights head into this one as the favourite, which is reasonably amusing. And yeah, I think there's enough quality in this Knights team to get the job done as the slight favourite. I think they'll cover as well because the line is nothing. It's 1.5 points.
Yep.
I think there are going to be plenty of points scored in this one as well. I haven't minded jumping on the overs with games involving the Dragons. That didn't prove to be correct last week against the Warriors. somehow Michaeli Ravalawa didn't score, which was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And that hurt my multi of the week last week, unfortunately, as well. But yeah, that's it. Like it's party time after this game for the Dragons. So I think they'll go out there and throw the ball around. It'll be their last game with this interim coach as well. So I like the overs here, even though the last 5 night matches between these two sides have gone under. That streak's coming to an end here. Greg Marju, he's been in insane try-scoring form. He scored at least one try in 7 out of Newcastle's last 8 matches. He's sort of paying around that $1.60 mark. So I think that's a nice little multi-booster for you there. And yeah, you know I'm going back to the well with Michaeli Ravalawa as an anytime try-scoring option.
It's the gift that keeps
on
giving.
He's paying sort of around that $1.90 range across markets as well. I like that, and I like the Knights to cover.
Okay, let's move on to the game on Sunday that no one cares about. Gold Coast Titans are $1.27. Canterbury, $3.90, minus 11.5, plus 11.5. Over under is 55.5. That is absolutely wild. Gold Coast should win. Canterbury just, I don't know what's going on there at the moment. Where you've all seen the media reports this week. Who knows what's going on there? We could dead set see, 46-20 here, and no one's going to be surprised because both teams can't defend.
Pretty much. 10 of Canterbury's last 11 games have gone over the total points match line.
55.5 is so
betting
high.
markets have finally gone, you know what? 54.5. That's
and it's 55.5 now too.
55.5. There you go. My goodness. So the funny thing is that Gold Coast, a team who have sort of become well known over the last couple of seasons to jump out to a lead and then not defend it. Well, if you can believe this, the Titans have lost the first half in each of their last 6 games. So you can get around that $2.90 mark for the Bulldogs to come away as the first half victors in this. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's toss a coin territory as far as which team is going to be ahead at halftime in this one. Aside from that, I'd chuck on a big same game multi for this one. David Fafita, $2 anytime try scorer. He scored, a try in 7 of his last 9 appearances when his team is the home favourite. So, he can score against good teams, but he's also obviously going to stick his hand up in those games where the Titans have some points in them. And I would have trouble taking the unders in this game if I'm being perfectly honest. But I also think the Titans have just shown us that little bit more than what the Bulldogs have shown us this season. And I like the Titans at 13 plus. Actually, if I'm being perfectly honest, with that line sort of sitting around the 11.5 range. So $2.05, 13 plus on Bet365 for the Titans. That's where I'm going.
Okay. Now let's move to the final game of the round. A massive game this because there are some ramifications floating here, especially if Canberra lose. Cronulla Sharks are $1.35 with a 9.5 point, not disadvantage, shall we say, minus 9.5. Canberra Raiders, $3.50. They have a 9.5 start. The over-under is 45.5 on both. Interestingly enough, Canberra have won the last 9 between the two. That is a ridiculous record across National Rugby League, given sort of how wonky some results can be in this competition. So 9 in a row is insane. This is 6th versus 7th. There is every chance if results don't go the way of the Raiders this weekend, they are out of the finals unbelievably.
That would be insane, hey. I mean, they were still a top 4.
I'll tell you what it would be, Phil. Thank you, Jim, for the bad beat. Yeah,
indeed. They got the job done in about round 3 or 4 earlier this season, I believe. Had that win.
24-20.
I think that was the Raiders' only win in about their first 5 or 6 weeks. the Sharks didn't have the best of starts to the season either. That's why both of these sides find themselves outside that top four. But yeah, I mean, if the Sharks can't win this one at home with Nico Hines back in the team, then something is seriously wrong. This isn't a bad Canberra team. I think if results go their way in terms of the Panthers taking care of the Cowboys, then the Raiders are going to hang on for that spot in the 8 regardless. Okay. And obviously they'll know when this game is kicked off. But look, I think it's going to be tight. I don't like the over in this one because Canberra don't score a ton of points, obviously. And like even last week's a good example, the Raiders, it was a big game against a quality team, but they were able to hang in there for most of the fight. So I think sort of under is the thing that I feel the most strongly about in this game, under the 45.5. Bet365 offering $1.91 there. But I think this will be a close game. Both sides will kind of be treating it almost like an elimination final. So I think the Raiders can cover the 9.5 point start that they've been afforded. Top Sport offering $1.95 on that market right now. Tipping the Sharks, but I like the Raiders with the head start.
Yeah, I was about to say it sounded like you're pretty keen on the Raiders with the start if we think it's going to be a tight one. All right, Phil, that time of the week, let's go for some. Thank you, Jim. Give us your best bets for this weekend, Phil.
Well, I know yours was Seagulls 13+ in the first Friday night game. I'm right with you there. I think that's a special, and I like the Warriors just to win at $2.40.
Okay.
To beat a Dolphins team which has just been pathetic for the best part of 3 months.
Yeah, we've been pretty hard on them. All right, Phil, I need you to do this for me before we head off into the sunset. All right, 5 legs this weekend. We'll start off with the Melbourne Storm head-to-head into Manly to win 13+. The Chooks, the Warriors, Gold Coast Titans head-to-head as well. That will give you, with our friends at Ladbrokes, $31.18. Rate my multi.
I like it.
I like it. There we go.
I'm giving you an 8 out of 10.
There we go. It's very aggressive, given what am I backing? 3 outsiders in that and going for a margin. Could have taken Gold Coast in the over to be really aggressive, but we'll just stick with those 5 legs. All right, Phil, that is the NRL Round 27. Holy moly, we have got through all of it this season. Of course, we have finals to come, but you won't be on the show next week. You'll be enjoying 15,432 sangrias. So make sure you enjoy that one for us, Phil.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, look, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't jealous, but yeah.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around why you weren't allowed to take leave in March, yet Stats Guy was gallivanting around the US mid-season.
Stats Guy has taken more holidays this year than Jim, Gerald, and I combined. I've had 4 days leave. I think Jim's had a week and a half, and I think Gerald's had 3. But Gerald gets public holidays off, so screw that guy. We don't. So it doesn't really sound fair, but like I got no footy this weekend. Like it's weird. So I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'll figure out something.
How does Stats Guy get away with it? I don't know. Look, I don't even feel guilty for having the next few podcasts off because Stats Guy's going to have to come and fill in and make up for the leave that he has taken over the football season.
He was trying to explain to me today that South would win, and I nearly slapped him because I'm like, Stats Guy, you got no idea what you're talking. But tell you what people should do this weekend, legit, because there's no footy on this weekend in Melbourne or anywhere, AFL that is. Get to Caulfield. First day of the spring. It is the spring opener, Caulfield season opener. It's the Memsey Stakes. I'm going to get there because I'm a sicko and I love gambling, so it's going to be awesome. Make sure you get to Caulfield this weekend. It's going to be an absolute belter of the day. You'll be too busy getting ready to fly. Now, more importantly, you're flying business class, surely. Like, you're a big man around town. Surely you've upgraded some tickets here.
No, and I can't see the light anytime soon of me boarding a business class flight, to be honest. As I've said
Little
to my
hint, nudge, nudge for a raise.
friends and family at various stages before, one day, one of these days, I'll get upgraded. Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, mate. I tell you, you need to get on the frequent flyer points rort. Just get a credit card and hit the minimum spend. Get on that. It's the best rort in town.
Okay.
That's how I'm doing it. That's how I'm paying for a lot of my flights. Frequent flyers all day. But enough of our rubbish travel and points hacks chat. This is NRL Daily, done and dusted this week. So you'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Myself, Jim, and Stats Guy will have to take over. This will be something next week for the first week of the finals. But make sure you head to thecodebet.com.au. Check out all of Phil's write-ups for this week. He may take a victory lap if Ansu Fati does end up at Brighton as well. So that's a big shout out to Brighton getting some transfer business done. But please check out all of our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, X, and of course, Threads. Going to see how long I go without opening that app. But Phil, thanks, mate. Enjoy Spain.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be good. I will still submit some written previews. Don't worry. I'm not going to, I will be taking the laptop with me. But yeah, look, there will be some editing required as well, because I'm going to be bashing them out quick smart.
Yeah, look, I just want photos of you sinking tins and doing whatever else you're doing. I want to be full on jealous, like I have been of a few mates who are overseas at the moment that just got engaged. Just shout out to them as well. But this is CoBet Daily, NRL done and dusted this week. Make sure you gamble responsibly, punters, and we will catch you next week here on the CoBet Daily NRL Show.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.